Would you concede that some of the things that he is doing are clearly anti-democratic
Well,
and also are potentially even unconstitutional?
I don't call people fascists or Nazis or compare people to Hitler. And I think that's part of why we lost our election last year. If you call the person that you might vote for, that implies that you must be a fascist or you're trying to destroy, our nation. And I know and I love some of those people, and they're not doing any of those things.
Before we go any further, let's slow this moment down because what just happened on camera tells you everything about the state of American media. Katie Couric walked into this interview expecting the usual script: push the anti-Trump narrative, frame every disagreement as a threat to democracy, and wait for the politician to fall in line. But John Fetterman didn't play along, and that right there is why this moment matters. You're watching World Insight Hub, where we cut through manufactured drama and focus on what's actually being said, not what legacy media hopes you'll repeat. If you value honest analysis over political theater, take a moment and subscribe. It helps us push back against the noise. Now let's watch how Fetterman shuts down Couric's entire narrative.
You've said that Donald Trump, in your view, is not an autocrat because his presidency is, quote, the product of a democratic election. But history has shown that even leaders who come to power through elections can still govern in anti-democratic ways. So I have to ask, when you consider some of Donald Trump's behaviors and policies, like deploying federal forces to U.S. cities, undermining the Department of Justice's independence, attempting to overturn the 2020 election, does that not trouble you deeply?
For me, it's like, here we are. But I think at this point right now, we are not in an autocracy. We're in a democracy, and that's why they were able to shut our government down. And that doesn't mean that we appreciate what's happening. And that expression, it's not normal. It's like, yes, it isn't normal, but that doesn't mean this is an autocracy right now. And what it does mean that we have a lot of hills that we can choose to die on. But I think for me, I've just been choosing some of the most difficult ones. And that's where I've been, and not supporting, many of these things that are happening.
Do you think that Donald Trump is not conducting himself or not pushing policies, though, that you would consider to be anti-democratic?
We don't agree with the vast majority of those things that's happened here right now. And I wouldn't do those things. I wouldn't have made those same kind of decisions for that. And that's fine where we are right now, a committed Democrat, and we happen to have a different view of these things. It's like,
You think that flags should have been flown at half staff? Do you think his body should have been flown on Air Force Two? Do you think he should have posthumously be given the Presidential Medal of Freedom? I think some people felt that was perhaps over the top in terms of mourning someone like Charlie Kirk. How did you feel about that?
I'd say that was his choice and his prerogative. And that was really entirely up to him.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it. I didn't closely follow his specific kinds of views, but I did.
I'm sure you learned about them after his death, though.
No, I haven't done a deep dive on it. We've all seen that terrible video. Perhaps if you've seen the actual video, I have. And it's like appalling. And that's part of the political violence. And from what I'm saying, it's like, that's unacceptable. And engaging in a debate and views I strongly disagree on, that's part of the American democracy. And for me, it's that would never justify what's happened. And I just chose not to take the opportunity to argue his views after children lost his father in the most violent public way. So I would say the equivalent on the left might be, say, Mr. Piker. I strongly disagree with his views, but I'm appalled if something like that happened to him. Oh my God. That's, we have to we have to disagree in better ways where, you're going to solve it by shooting people. And that's why the kinds of rhetoric, we have to turn the temperature down. Extreme rhetoric makes it easier for extreme reactions or to justify them.
I think some people might say Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was extreme.
As the interview goes on, Couric tries one more angle, pressing Fetterman to condemn Trump by using Charlie Kirk's death as a political pivot point. But again, he refuses to play along. He doesn't minimize violence, he doesn't excuse rhetoric, but he also won't let legacy media turn a tragedy into a partisan weapon. Instead, he brings the conversation back to a principle most Americans still hold. Disagreement is part of democracy, violence is not. And if we want to lower the temperature, we have to stop acting like every political opponent is an enemy of the state. Couric keeps pushing, insisting Kirk's rhetoric was extreme, but Fetterman doesn't take the invitation to smear the dead. He simply says he didn't follow Kirk's views closely and won't use someone's death to win a political point. That simple refusal, basic decency, completely collapses her attempt to resurrect the old danger to democracy script. And here's the real takeaway. Fetterman unintentionally exposes the instinct that has cost legacy media their credibility. When every disagreement becomes hysteria, when every Republican is framed as a threat, people tune out because they can see the agenda behind it. Couric still hasn't learned that lesson, but Fetterman somehow has. What do you think? Is this a rare moment of honesty from a Democrat, or just another sign that even their own party is tired of media-driven narratives? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read as many as I can, and your perspective matters. Thanks for watching World Insight Hub. Stay sharp, stay curious, and don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. See you next time.